Hello everyone, Faye here. Let me adjust this a little bit and maybe you can see what I'm sewing on. Might cut my head off, but you know, that's life. So it's day 12 of my Fabric StashDown, and I'm on the last ribbon that I'm putting on this skirt. And this skirt has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, four different fabrics, all of which are scraps, and 2, 3, 4 different ribbons. In fact, this ribbon here that I'm sewing on, I had to cut in half because it was too wide. And it's what I have of it. I have this much left in the full size out of what was a I think 5-yard strip. It was $1.50 for the whole thing. Of this left on it, and this one run that I cut off is going to be a little bit longer. I cut off and cut in half. It's going to be a little bit longer than the skirt, so I'll have this much left on it. About 2.5 feet left, not quite 3 feet left of it, that will go on a vest. Because I'm going to use all the leftover scraps from the skirt on a vest. And this is the type of textile art that I do. It's all hand sewn. And I've had people say that I should use a sewing machine for this. But I'm oftentimes using short bits of thread. And I mean, like, I don't know if you can see this, but the thread on this runs from here to here. That's all that's left of the white thread on this spool. I will use this. I have already used some of this on the inside. You can't even see it because of the way I turned this cream. But when I sewed the cream to the blue, I used the cream thread, and then the raw edge was on the inside here, where this seam binding tape covers it. So that keeps it a seam that will do well through repeated washes. And where I was doing material on the same material, it's all French seams. And I'm 2 weeks into this project. I started it a few days before the Fabric StashDown. So while I'm 18 days into the Fabric StashDown, I am... Actually, it's January 18th. I'm 18 days into this project, but I'm actually 12 days into the StashDown. So, my StashDown will always be 6 days less than the actual amount of time that I've spent sewing on projects. So I had one project that was fairly quick. It was doing some mending work on a slip that was about 4 days work. So I actually have 14 days into this, even though I only have 12 days on the project. But this is the type of textile arts that I do. It's quiet, it's slow, it takes a long time, and it uses little bits of things. Scraps of ribbons, scraps or remnants or cabbage of fabric, and partial spools of thread. And sometimes I get whole spools of thread that are donated to like Scrap PDX, and I get them there, or they're in a bag of threads that I've picked up at the thrift store. But I realize that most people do not see what I do here as textile art. They just go, oh, it's clothing. And she's stupid because she's not using a sewing machine to do it. It'd be so much faster. But the fact is that hand sewing is a kind of meditation. So if I'm not like talking on a video to people about it, I'm in my Zen mode. And it's one of the things that keeps me sane in this world as it is now. But it's also, with my picking up scraps and stuff, my way of reducing what goes into the trash, what ends up in the rivers and in the oceans and in the landfills. Because I'm one of those people who hates to see fabric wasted. And while most of this is cotton, I know my little seam binding tape is not, and I'm not sure what this beautiful holiday ribbon is. You can see the pattern better if I take this off here. Show you the whole thing. It's like poinsettias and lyres and scrolls of sheet music. See that one there? You can see a half of a scroll of sheet music. I wish I had this as a printed fabric, but all I've got is this one ribbon. And I just thought it was absolutely the cat's meow and had to have it. But a lot of people will say, oh, you're not really a textile artist. All you're doing is making, pretty clothes. And they look like costumes to a lot of people, so they just kind of brush them off as being costumes. Because they're not the avant-garde textile arts that cost hundreds and thousands of dollars per piece in an installation, an art installation. They're just not that level. This is the everyday wearable art that women have done for millennia. And I do mean millennia. Because women have been processing plants and weaving their ribbons and their cloth, processing the fibers, spinning it, weaving it, or braiding it into trim, into the base fabric, and then sewing it. Women have been doing that for easily 20,000 years. And because it's woman's work, it gets set aside and downplayed as, oh, that's just clothes. I don't care about clothes. Type thing. So they think it doesn't matter. But when you're looking at a world where textiles, clothing, is thrown away by the thousands of tons of clothing every day, if 10% of the people doing art, specifically doing art that becomes clothing, we're doing it the way I do and the way most textile artists do, using the cast-offs, the leftovers of the manufacturing process. We could, worldwide, just on a daily basis, reduce that load of textiles by 1% every day. Now, 1% doesn't sound like much, unless you think about 100,000 tons of fabric and textiles going into landfills and into the ocean and into the rivers every day. Well, that's only 1% is only 1,000 tons. Now you can go look up on the web how much a ton weighs. I can tell you that a ton of fabric would probably fill half my living room. And we're talking about 1,000 of those a day, just from people like me and other textile artists using scraps. So if ever you think your little project using scraps doesn't make a difference, go take your materials, your finished projects that you've done in the last year, and weigh them. And multiply that by 10% of the world's population. And think about if 10% of the world was taking that much material out, keeping it from the landfills every year, how much better the earth would be. So, never doubt your value working with scraps. Never doubt that when you are working with textiles, no matter how small, that your hands are one of the sets of hands that actually are saving the environment, bit by bit, piece by piece. So that's it. That's my little blurb for my 12th day of my Fabric StashDown. That's what I've been thinking. If you want to know what I'm up to this weekend, what I'm up to on Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day, I'm probably going to be watching other people's textile arts videos while I work on my own textile arts. I'm just taking it easy, stitch by stitch, doing my part for the world. Because if I don't do it, it's a wasted skill, and what I make will not happen. And I'd rather have it happen and somebody poo-poo it as, oh, that's just a costume. Yeah. Like they think they could make it with a sewing machine in a week and it'd be just as good. Yeah. Maybe it would be if I handed them the materials that it took me 4 or 5 months to find. But I don't think so. So I'll make it. And wear it. And they can poo-poo it. But don't you poo-poo any of your art projects, your fiber projects. Because you know better. The work of your hands is not some cheap fast fashion. It's art. Thanks. Here, I'll let you see the top of my head. It's cold day. Like, our cold temperatures are below freezing, and our highs are still cold, but above freezing this week. Dry, sunny, cold. The end of January in Portland, Oregon, doing fiber art. And I will finally shut this little blurb of a vlog down. and say goodbye, and I wish you well this week.